What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about NIO. I want to go over some of the data points, what's moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So NIO is up 3.6%, 757 the low, 780 the high. So still struggling with that general area. So I'll go over the technicals and so forth later in a second. But kind of low volume, so 48 million shares being traded, 87 is the average. During the pre-market, you kind of had it a little bit iffy, did show some signs that it wanted to consolidate, but once the market did open, it just rocketed. So definitely good to see. Nothing official coming from the company, no SEC filings or anything like that. There was this that was posted, so HSBC did raise their target from 410 to 780. So of course you have to use that 780, which is what NIO has been really struggling with. But nonetheless, this is another one of those ratings that I don't believe was done on the ADR. So a lot of the platforms that I generally like to look at, such as TipRanks and whatever, it hasn't picked this up yet. So as you can kind of see, the no new ratings. So it might take a day and a half for TipRanks to pick that up. But last rating that I do see from HSBC did occur 9 months ago. It was a downgrade and it was a 450 price target. Analyst has a 27% success rating. So in reality, I think that would be pretty good. Still rather disappointed. 780 is still kind of on the low end. I would have anticipated more double digits based on their monthly numbers and quarterly numbers that did come out. And plus everything operationally that's been happening, I think double digit is realistic. But as a consensus over the last 3 months, $6.72, and that does oddly represent a 13.46% downside from these current prices. So again, I feel like it's a little bit more of a lag. Only thing that kind of came out, which is interesting, something to monitor, not really a reason to buy NIO, is this. So it looks like NIO, XPeng, and a couple others did participate in some discussions with the EU on EV tariffs. So last we heard was in July, and that's when the EU just said, hey, you know what, we're not going to negotiate anymore until we have a actual deal with the states. Technically, the EU and the states have not come to some deal yet. I think some topics on like steel and whatever else was done, but nothing broad. So in reality, I don't really anticipate much development coming from the EU and China talking just yet. But we've seen in the past when the EU drops their and lowers their tariffs or even talks about that, you see obviously NIO move up higher. And so even basically back in early, or I think it was mid 2024, it went from about $4 to $5. So again, I think the market does truly value that, but still, I think given the circumstances, NIO is doing pretty a-okay with the current circumstances of EU. So let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. At the time of doing this video, shorts are increasing 1.69 million shares. So they are all over the place. Last couple of days, they were returning. Today, they're increasing. So they're trying to slow the progress of NIO. And I think the last couple of trading days, it didn't really show like any signs that NIO was going to break above 8. Today is different. And of course, I think some of that is because of the new analyst rating. But shorts are clearly fearful that NIO is on the verge of breaking out. So again, all NIO needs is that nice gentle push, and then it should easily be 8 and then 9 and so forth. So I'll go over the technicals in a second, but increasing 1.69 million shares, 10.97% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 151.8 million shares overall being shorted. Cost to borrow average, kind of in line with what it has been, very low. So it's at 1%, and that's an annual rate, not a daily rate. DTC sitting at 1.76 days, so still does signal that shorts are rather overextended. Looking at the options, 6.9 million in calls, 327,000 in puts. So this data right here is very optimistic because you do see 60% of all the options being done bullish in nature. So you kind of have shorts. That this is the only interesting data that it clearly shows that they're trying to slow the progress. Everything else is fairly bullish, including the options. So I think shorts are kind of fighting a losing game a little bit, but what do I know? Looking at the bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be between that 8 to 850 by the end of this Friday. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 750. So honestly, there's a lot more upside than down. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So somewhat evenly divided. So 2 sells and 3 buys. So rather timid. Again, kind of matches with the overall lower volume. And then these are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool. So 2 big ones, 4.6 and then 1.2. So of course, if you just kind of do the process of elimination, it does mean that algorithmic trading is making up for the majority of the volume. And most likely as well, like I said, piggybacking off of this new rating. And that's what's causing algos to really push NIO higher. With it right now at 778. It is right below this R1, so 783 will be best case scenario for it to close above today. And if so, then you'll most likely see a new 52-week high being hit tomorrow. Again, that's just based on the technicals, and if it's able to successfully close above that 783. 835 is going to be that following target point that we'll kind of watch for over the next couple of trading days. And then $7 is the next strong support. So I don't really see that being touched anytime soon, aside from all that fun stuff and the analyst rating on that chart itself. So it was able to successfully stay above that 10-day moving average because of all the recent volatility, it bouncing off of that 52-week high of 802. That did cause it to get from the overbought status to a little bit on the low end, so arguably oversold. So that's a good thing. Hopefully being able to really push and incentivize just institutions to get in and buy NIO to really push it higher. Looking at the market position, comparing today versus yesterday, you see all those willing sellers that were kind of feeding off of the broader market's fear, they just went away. And it's kind of funny how that does turn out. So yeah, you could easily see with that nice gentle push, whatever that might be that causes that push, you'll see a very nice breakout. But looking right here, you do see a lot of algorithmic trading, but at the same time, a lot of smaller medium transactions. So institutions are actually paying attention to NIO. So even though it's not necessarily being done on the secondary market, dark pool is often enough used by hedge funds. So it is fair to assume that hedge funds also are very active with NIO and buying. But there hasn't really been all that much in news. Like I kind of mentioned with the holiday, just there hasn't really been anything coming out. So hopefully, I guess over the next couple of trading days, we'll have a rush of new news to kind of digest. And I did see some comments because of the holiday, the registration numbers are not coming out. So we'll just have to wait and see next week on how they do play out. But nonetheless, I think big things will be coming for NIO. Let me know your thoughts on that, and if you've been buying, if you've been selling, what have you been doing, and what's your viewpoint on HSBC's rating of 780? Do you think it's just like strategic to put 780, or do you think that that's kind of low? What's your general viewpoint on that? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.